Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Fumilola, double board certified pharmacist, a mom of two, a wife, and I'm on a self journey. This journey is journeying, and it's my hope that I can inspire at least one person to get on a journey of their own. So, today we're going to be talking about postpartum depression. So, the previous videos up until now have been about like women's health basically. So I think we're going to do that for another two more videos. Today we're going to be talking about postpartum depression. Um, so a little backstory. I always give you guys backstories on what inspires the topic that I'm going to talk about, right? I remember that I've had to have conversations with like friends slash siblings of friends, who've had babies and feel alone. They feel like, and then sometimes because some of them have had to wait on God for the child, maybe for a couple of years or more, 5 years, 10 years. When the baby finally comes and they're not feeling that, bubble and all that postpartum, some of them feel like it's not their right to complain. Some of them feel like they don't have a right to be sad. But sometimes these feelings are not within your control. Like you need to understand that, which is why I'm going to be talking about postpartum depression today. Before we get into like the clinical aspects, I'm just going to say that postpartum depression is not something that you can wish away. It's not something that you can um, mumora. I'm going to say that in Yoruba because the English is lost on me. So it's not something that you can tolerate. It's not something that you can persevere. It's something that you need to identify and you need to take steps to make sure that you don't keep digging that hole, like you don't keep digging yourself into that hole because um it can get worse if one doesn't quickly identify it, especially if you don't have a good support system. So enough about what I think. We're going to go into a few bookish details now. So postpartum depression is a form of clinical depression that happens after childbirth in the fourth trimester, as you know, most people call it. So it's not just like baby blues or because you can't sleep or blah blah blah. Like it's actual clinical depression. If we have like there's a questionnaire that they use, I think it's the MOQ 9 or so. They used to identify like if someone is clinically depressed, they ask you stuff like, is it hard for you to get out of bed? Is this often? Is this sometimes? Is this barely? Like how many times? If like everybody can be sad, right? Everybody can be down. But if you have 30 days in a month and you're down for 28 days, something is wrong. Like everyone has bad days, but clinical depression is more than just like baby blues or tiredness. You know, it is it is it is deep. It's more than that. So basically it can affect your mood, it can affect your appetite, it can affect your sleep, it can affect everything that is going on around you. So we're going to talk about some of the symptoms to look out for. And if you feel like this is happening to you or someone around you that just had a baby, then we're gonna also talk about things you can do to help. So everyone's experience with postpartum depression can be a little bit different based on surrounding and all that, right? But I'll just mention a few symptoms. So like I said, feeling sad or hopeless on most days. It's not just like, oh, once in a month you're a bit down. No, like on most days you're just sad. You feel like, why did I even do this? What is the point of all this? Crying often without a clear reason. Like we all know that when a person is postpartum, their hormones are all over the place, so your emotions are also all over the place, right? But just find that you're crying, like you're just breaking down, like you're just, why are you crying? I don't know. I'm just sad. I'm just sad. On most days, again, like when you see the diagnosis for clinical depression, it will be often. These things will happen more often than not, right? So feeling numb or disconnected from yourself or even from your baby. So you feel like your body is not your own. You're wondering who is this stranger that is in the crib next to you. You're wondering if like why did I even bother? Like who is this? There's no connection, there's no attachment, that motherly tingly feeling that they tell you about is not there. And then, of course, this leads to you feeling like a bad mom, and then you're full of guilt, and you're like, oh my God, I'm supposed to love my child. I don't love my child. And then it just spirals from there, right? And difficulty sleeping, even when you're exhausted, like completely exhausted, the baby's sleeping, someone else is doing something for you and everything. You're doing nothing, but you just can't sleep. And then you find that you lose interest in the things that you actually do enjoy. So normally, let's say you take walks before the baby came, and you don't want to come out of the house, you don't want to get out of bed, you don't want to eat, you don't want to do the things that you usually would do. You're angry all the time, you're irritable all the time, you flare up over like the most little things and all that. And you start to wonder, like, oh, is something wrong with me? In fact, some people have self-harm thoughts or harming the baby thoughts. I mean, this one is an absolute red flag. And if that happens, you definitely need to see a doctor. Like if you're going through all of these postpartum depressions that I've mentioned, usually most of them can be managed by like non-drug measures. But if thoughts of self-harm or harming your baby or people around you start to come to you, then you definitely need to see a therapist or a psychiatrist. Really, that's what you need to see. Okay. So again, when most people talk about postpartum depression, some women will be like, oh, everybody has it. And like, after you have your baby, you're a little bit sad. But like postpartum depression is different from baby blues. Like most people feel, sad, overwhelmed, in the first like 1 to 2 weeks after they give birth. Or for postpartum depression, that feeling just doesn't go away. Like it doesn't go away. It's heavier. It's it weighs on you like it's like a heavy blanket that's just sitting on your soul. So if you feel like the sadness or the heaviness or the moodiness is lasting longer than 2 weeks and it's starting to interfere with your quality of life, like you're not able to, like we talked about, enjoy the things, you're having self-harm thoughts, all sorts of things like that, then it's time to talk to a doctor or a therapist. Like you cannot do it on your own. You cannot non-drug it. You can't lifestyle change. You need to talk to a therapist or a doctor. So, what causes it? I think the next video after this is going to be 101 pregnancy symptoms. Some you've heard about and some you haven't. So, like most things in pregnancy, what causes it? It's hormones, right? Right after the baby is born, there's like a drastic drop of estrogen, progesterone. And of course, we've already talked about in previous videos, we've talked about the fact that anything that affects your hormones is going to affect your mood, basically going to affect your life generally. So, sleeping, breastfeeding, relationship, like everything is going to be affected. But there's one thing that I want to say, two things actually about postpartum depression. It's never your fault. That's the first thing you need to know. I know the guilt is going to be there and you're going to be feeling like, why can't I just get over this? I'm not the first woman to have a baby, especially if you have people around you telling you, are you the first person to have a baby? Other people have had babies and da da da. It's not your fault. You're not the one doing this to yourself. Your body is adjusting and your hormones are adjusting. That's number one. Number two is that it's okay to ask for help. Please, if you feel like you're doing that, or sometimes talking to someone who has had kids before, who you know is empathetic, non judgmental, I mean, it might not be the same as talking to a licensed therapist, but it might actually help. So don't keep it to yourself and it's okay to ask for help. Next thing we're going to talk about is who is at risk of postpartum depression. In Nigeria, we used to say that God is our insurance plan. So when you tell people, postpartum depression, God forbid, it can never be me. In my family, we're always so happy. Everybody's at risk of postpartum depression. It doesn't matter if it's your first pregnancy, second pregnancy, or third pregnancy. Like it can happen at any time to anybody. I mean, like we discussed before, it's about your hormones. And if you were pregnant, you definitely had a high influx of hormones in your body. And then once the baby's out, the hormones start to drop drastically. So, I mean, everybody's at risk. But there are some people that are at higher risk, right? If a person has a history of depression or anxiety, high risk because already your system already has those highs and those lows, right? If a person had a traumatic birth or like like a NICU experience, the baby ended up in NICU, this can also push it because those thoughts will make it worse, right? If you don't have a good support system, that can also make you prone to have postpartum depression. I mean, one of the reasons why postpartum depression was overlooked in our part of the world, in Nigeria, I would say Africa generally, and like colored countries, is because a lot of us have support systems when we have babies. So when you have a baby, they don't leave you alone. Before you know what's happening, your mother-in-law's there, your mom's there, your cousins, your aunties, everyone's helping you out. People are picking up the baby. Like, you're not by yourself. So we realized that in the western part of the world, especially if you lived in Nigeria and then you come here and then you have a baby, you would understand why postpartum depression is actually a big thing here, because a lot of people have this whole me and myself lifestyle. They have babies, there's no support system, they're not surrounded, because sometimes being surrounded by friends and family, like, it's beautiful for your mood, right? It's beautiful for you to know that you're not alone, for you to know that you're not going it alone, you're not doing it by yourself. So yeah, that's a risk factor, not having a good support system. Another risk factor is, like, if you're having relationship issues or financial struggles or like accommodation problems. So basically problems of life, of course, can also make it worse, because already your hormones are flooding your body, they're going all over the place, and then you now have these issues that on a good day can make you sad or depressed. And then added on top of the stress of just having a baby, which, I mean, it's a big deal. And like I keep telling people, because people have millions of babies every day, doesn't stop it from being a life threatening event, doesn't stop it from being a big deal, right? So, other people, like I said before, the person who inspired me to make this video is someone who had like a weight for a while and then had a baby, and then she was going through postpartum depression. So, people who have suffered previous infertility or pregnancy losses are also prone to postpartum depression. Like after the baby comes, it's a lot of stuff. You feeling as if, is this it? Was this all? And then there's that guilt that comes around and turns around on you and says, "Oh, you've waited for this baby for so long, and then now you're underwhelmed. Like, should you feel this way? Are you ungrateful? All those things can also contribute to it, like we said before." So now we're going to talk about how you can help yourself or people around you if you think they have postpartum depression. First thing I'm going to say is that postpartum depression is treatable, and like we said before, it is okay to ask for help. Number one, talk to someone. Your obstetrician, an gynecologist, or your midwife. Talk to someone, or like I said, someone who has had kids, is empathetic, and non-judgmental. Talk to that person about. Sometimes just telling your feelings. A problem shared is half solved, even though off point somebody wants that the problem shared is for people to carry as gist. But that's by the way. Sometimes your need to unburden yourself supersedes whatever gist anybody wants to carry about you. Like, this is your life we're talking about. Like, if the person dies, they're gonna talk about you anyway. And like my mom says, by the next week here, there's another flavor of the week. So why are you stressing yourself out? Another thing, so talk to your midwife or your obstetrician or a friend, somebody who is good, has a good listening ear and can talk to you properly. And then therapy. If therapy wasn't my first point. If you live in the western part of the world, therapy would have been the first thing I'd have said. But for a lot of people who live in Nigeria slash Africa slash colored countries, going to therapy is a big step for us. It's like finally admitting that I'm crazy, even though that's not what it is. The therapist is just basically talking to someone who is licensed to listen to you and who is licensed not to give opinions, you know, to listen to you and to give non partial opinions, hopefully, in most cases, right? So, cognitive behavioral therapy, so talking you through it and all that, that's the job of a therapist. Another thing that you can do is medication. So, seeing the therapist, if they try CBT doesn't work, or your OB or your midwife realizes that, oh, this is way more than talk therapy can do, and then they talk about medications. There's medications that help with depression that are safe even while breastfeeding. Support groups also, like now it's even way easy to have support groups. Like there's Reddit. If you go on Reddit and you probably type I'm depressed after having a baby, support groups will pop up. If you check on Facebook, if you check, like, support groups are immeasurable in the amount of support that they give you. So that's also something else to consider. Rest and nutrition, this is understated. Like after you have a baby, and this also goes to your support system, right? So rest, nutrition, a lot of times in pregnancy and even after pregnancy, a lot of women are not properly nourished. Like they're malnourished, they don't eat properly, they don't eat the right things, they eat what they crave, not what they need. And then this also goes along to affect a lot of things in your body. So if you eat properly and you try to rest, you need your sleep. After you have a baby, sleep is sleep is like gold. My sister and I were talking about how some one time after the twins, in case you don't know, I have twin nephews, identical. Okay. Auntie moment. Anyway, so my sister and I were talking about how after the twins, she said one day her mother-in-law just, whisked away the kids and left her and her husband. She said in her mind, she was thinking when they're home alone, they're going to do this. She said they ate. First of all, went and bought food, sat down, ate the food, and then slept. She was telling me how much of a gift that weekend was. And maybe the boys were just like, maybe they were just like 6 months or not even 6 months yet, you know. And she was like that. If someone had given her money, she would have taken that over, a cash gift. So yeah, rest and nutrition is very important. And of course, tying into what I just said, always ask for help. Sometimes people assume that you're strong, you've got it, especially when it's not your first or your second child. It's funny because the people with the second and third child are the people that need the help the most because there is stuff to be done, there's housework, there's kids to look after, there's meals to cook and meals to prep. So ask for help, ask your family, ask your friends. It's better for you to ask for help from 50 people and get it from five than to keep your mouth shut because you feel like, oh, you don't want anybody to think that you're bothering them. Please bother them. That's what they are there for. Like, what are friends for, even not for inconveniences? So, we've talked about what to do, what not to do. Don't try to push through it. Don't think, oh, yeah, if I just hold on long enough, it's going to disappear. Sometimes, like, yeah, if it's not postpartum depression, sometimes it goes away. Sometimes some people have postpartum depression into the second year postpartum because they think they're going to push through it. Don't compare yourself to other people. Don't say, oh, after all, so and so just had a baby as well and she's fine. Why can't I be fine? Like everybody's not the same. And like you said, it's not your fault, right? Don't blame yourself. Don't think you're weak. Don't assume that it will go away because oh, it's. I mean, if I wait it out, it's not gonna go. If it's longer than 2 weeks, chances that it's going to go away by itself is very slim. And this carries into like some people go into years and years after they have children and they're still sad and depressed, and then they get pregnant again on top of that, and then it compounds, and then you wonder how some mothers are to their kids. They feel so detached, they feel resentful, they feel, these are issues that were not dealt with. So yeah, don't blame yourself, don't compare yourself to other people. Like you're not weak, you're not strong enough. There, even the Hebrew women had help. They had midwives. Otherwise, they would have been sitting there in their parlor and popping the babies out by themselves. So yeah. And then before I go to my last point, if you're a partner or a friend to someone who just had a baby, and you want to be able to look out for some things to know if they have postpartum depression. So if someone just had a baby and they are withdrawn all the time, crying or disinterested in things that usually they were interested in, you should like don't leave them alone by themselves. Don't assume that they're just, oh, I'll just leave her until she's okay. No, you need to like ask them, how are you doing? Offer support without judgment. Like listen more than you speak. Let them talk. Let them talk. Let them talk. Go on and on. Help with the baby or meals or chores so that she can actually rest. When you go on, I have a personal whatever, when I go to a new mom's house, I don't take my kids because why am I taking my kids there? First of all, it's a new baby. Like, do you want to infect the baby with all sorts? I don't, I don't kiss the baby, but that's another topic for another day. But like when I go to a new mom's house, and this is something I'm also inculcating, even non-new moms, like if someone invites us to a party or something, like I try to make myself useful. Especially in this part of the world, there's no help, there's no maid, there's no anything. So if I go to a new mom's house, it is because I'm asking, how can I help? How can I do this for you? How can I do that for you? And if the person is close to me or something, I can cook, like batch cook, stew or whatever, and then just give it to them to make their lives easier, which is basically what we should be doing for people who have babies anyway. My Egyptian assistant at work was telling me that in their community here in Edmonton, that when a person has a baby, the women have a roster. So they have a roster of like who cooks today, tomorrow. For like he said, it can go on for 3 months. Who cooks like, and they would have like a timetable of food. So you are Monday, you are Tuesday, you are Wednesday, you are Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You are next week, blah blah blah. He said when his wife had a baby that he had to be saying the food is enough. We have enough food, guys. Like it is enough. Stop cooking for now. Like that is something that is really valuable because it takes away, especially if you have other kids apart from the baby that you just had. It takes away the stress of, oh, what are my other kids gonna eat? I have to get up to cook. So yeah, and then encourage this new mom to talk to people. Like her doctor. If she's struggling, she doesn't want to talk to anybody that is familiar to her, encourage her to talk to her doctor, encourage her to reach out to ask for help if she needs help, right? So finally, we're gonna talk about, like, I'm just gonna go over the points that we talked about, and then we're gonna end the video. So, finally, I'm just gonna like go over the points that we talked about. Like, if you're feeling this way, what can you do to help? So, if you're like feeling sad or low mood persistently, so acknowledge it. Like I said, don't imagine it away. So acknowledge it. Okay, this is what is wrong with me. Create a journal. I find that journaling really helps me. Like, if I'm feeling sad, I write it down. Sometimes I have WhatsApp to myself and I type it out. I write it in my notes. Like, I don't have to get a book and stuff, even though I have tons of journals, like written notes. You know, and if the journal is not working, talk to a therapist or someone that support, recognize that you're not alone. So if you're losing interest, so that's one symptom. Another symptom is losing interest in the things that you used to do. So what can you do? Gently reintroduce little things that you used to do. So I remember that after I had my daughter, I used to try to take walks. I like music. I like dancing. I mean, in another world, I would have probably been dancing on Instagram, but subconscious, this is not how it's great. Anyway, introduce it to joy. So walks, dancing, and if these don't work, reach out to a mental health professional. So if you find that you're crying all the time or you're tearful all the time, just sad. So crying can be a release, when you're feeling really pent up and tired and angry. But if you find that you're crying all the time, please join a postpartum support group, or you talk to your doctor. A support group is really helpful, like I said before. So feeling disconnected from your baby, skin to skin time is very helpful. It may take a little while, but be kind to yourself. I mean, you have not failed. You have not done anything wrong. You are really trying. So this is why they introduce skin to skin, right? Especially for daddies, to try to feel connected to the baby, because they don't have that connection that most moms have. So yeah, if you're feeling disconnected from your baby, that's something you can do. So if you're irritable, angry all the time, throwing rage and tantrums, and try to track the things that trigger you. Talk to your partner, talk to your counselor. Like, anger and that irritability is a common symptom of postpartum depression. So trouble sleeping, even when the baby's sleeping. This one, I mean, there's nothing much I can say. Rest when you can. When someone helps with the baby, sleep. If in the insomnia continues, then you need to talk to your doctor about it, because if you don't sleep, I mean, that's gonna throw you for a loop, right? So if you find that you're unable to sleep, even when nothing is happening, like nothing is on your mind, then you need to get medicated or talk to your doctor about it. So another thing that usually happens, feeling hopeless or overwhelmed. Okay, let's say you're doing something and you're like, oh, this thing is so blah blah blah. So why don't you try to break it into tiny steps? Ask for help. Like I said, if you can afford it, get someone to batch cook you a meal. If you don't have any friends to cook it for you, batch cook you a meal, portion it into, your husband can portion it into bowls, label it up, put it in the freezer, be bringing it out little by little, which is what I do. When, like, if I'm pregnant, I start to, once I'm like 6 months ish, I start to batch cook stews and soups and label, and my freezer is stocked, because I know that for like 3 to 6 months after the baby comes, I will be tired and I will not be in the mood to be whipping up food for anybody. So I usually do that. And if you know you're not a cooking person, then buy the food. And if you can't buy the food, then your husband needs to get into it, and ask for help. If you're having thoughts of self harm or harming the baby, this one you need to seek immediate help. It's a big red flag, and you cannot wish it away. Many moms have drowned their babies, harmed their babies because of this feeling. So if the disconnection is still going on and you're having difficulty bonding with the baby, try quiet time with the baby, talking to the baby, eye contact, singing. Like, like I said before, it may take a while, especially if you're feeling disconnected from the baby. But if you keep up these things and you keep doing it, if you're feeling like a bad mom, like, this is another symptom of postpartum depression, by the way. Constantly remind yourself that you're not a bad mom. And, like, would you say this to someone else? Would you tell a person that is doing everything that you're doing in their capacity to look after the baby and everything, that you're a bad mom? If you won't say this to someone else, why would you say this to yourself? So just a little bit of, pep talk and self talk. But like I said, if these feelings are overwhelming, affecting your quality of life, or longer than 2 weeks, please seek some help. And to end my video, I want to talk to all moms postpartum out there. You are not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You just brought forth a whole human or two or three, depending on whether you had multiples. So I want you to know that things will get better. Ask for help, seek the right support, and everything will work out fine. Just don't think that you can thumb through it by yourself, okay? Thank you guys for watching my video. I really appreciate your time all the time, and I love you guys very much. Bye. Oh, don't forget to watch, like, subscribe, and share this video, especially to someone who's pregnant or someone who just had a baby. Bye, guys. I'll see you in my next video.